The House will come to order. Members will be in their seats. The clerk will open the roll, and you may record your presence. Please rise and give attention to the House chaplain and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Representative Sutton.
Shall we pray? Gracious and loving God, we thank you for life and for your mercy. Ecclesiastes 4:9-12 tells us that two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. Help us to follow your example, to work in unity. Whenever we feel we are working alone, help us to remember how the Trinity works together and to follow that path. This I pray in your name. Amen.
Have all members had an opportunity to record their presence? The clerk will close the roll and record the attendance. Introduction of bills and concurrent resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill number 2311 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs. An act concerning the Kansas Amusement Ride Act relating to inflatable devices and other amusement rides, inspections, training, and annual fees. House Bill number 2312 by the Committee on Elections. An act concerning elections relating to Campaign Finance Act, exempting certain political party committee treasurers from liability for certain violations of the act. House Bill number 2313 by Representatives Sanders, Awerkamp, and others, an act concerning health and health care, creating the Born Alive Infants Protection Act, providing for legal protections for infants born alive, requiring certain standards of care by health care providers for infants who are born alive, providing criminal penalties and civil liability for violations of the act. House Bill number 2314 by the Committee on Legislative Modernization. An act concerning state-issued devices and networks relating to social media platforms, prohibiting the use of social media platforms of concern on such devices and networks. House Bill number 2315 by Representative Martinez. An act concerning education relating to curriculum, requiring school districts to offer instruction on life skills for students enrolled in middle school and high school. House Bill number 2316 by the Committee on Taxation, an act concerning income taxation relating to certain net operating losses, allowing a carryback on loss from the sale of certain historic hotels. House Bill number 2317 by the Committee on Taxation, an act concerning property taxation relating to the collection of taxes, providing that certain tax notices and statements may be transmitted by electronic means by the county treasurer if consented to by the taxpayer. House Bill number 2318 by the Committee on Taxation, an act concerning sales and compensating use tax relating to rates, decreasing rate of tax to 6.15%. House Bill number 2319 by the Committee on Taxation, an act concerning property taxation relating to exemptions, providing for an exemption for business property that operates in competition with property owned and operated by a government entity. House Bill number 2320 by the Committee on Financial Institutions and Pensions, an act concerning financial institutions, enacting the Commercial Property Assessed Capital Enhancement, or CPACE Act, relating to financing for energy efficiency, water conservation, water quality, air quality, health, and renewable energy improvements on certain qualifying properties. properties, requiring the Department of Commerce to designate or establish a CPACE board, authorizing powers, duties, and rules and regulations of such board. House Bill number 2321 by the Committee on Financial Institutions and Pensions, an act concerning retirement and pensions, enacting the Kansas Work and Save Program Act, providing for administrative powers, duties, responsibility of the state treasurer regarding such program, granting rules and regulations authority, allowing certain individuals to contribute to individual retirement accounts. House Bill number 2322 by the Committee on Education, an act concerning education relating to exceptional children, revising the definition of child with disabilities to replace emotional disturbance with emotional disability. House Bill 2323 by the Committee on Local Government, an act concerning fire districts relating to fire districts located in Johnson County, providing for detachment and transfer of property thereof annexed by a city. House Bill number 2324 by the Committee on Local Government, an act concerning rental property relating to the Residential Landlord and Tenant Act, removing the requirement to publish notice prior to a landlord's sale of abandoned tenant property. House Bill number 2325 by the Committee on Insurance, an act concerning insurance relating to the Healthcare Provider Insurance Availability Act, adding maternity center to the definition of healthcare provider contained therein. House Bill number 2326 by the Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning consumer protection relating to the Scrap Metal Theft Reduction Act, clarifying that catalytic converters are regulated scrap metal, extending the expiration date of the act. House Bill number 2327 by Representative Shu, Alcala, and others, an act concerning property taxation relating to exemptions, discontinuing exemption of a new qualifying pipeline property that experiences a spill or leak, and providing for recoupment of certain property taxes. House Concurrent Resolution number 5008 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, a concurrent resolution applying to the Congress of the United States to call a convention of the states for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution of the United States that impose limits on the federal government.
Introduction of original motions and House resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Resolution number 6009 by Representative Concanon, a resolution recognizing the Kansas Chiropractic Association's groundbreaking history and its continued work for the Kansas chiropractic physician.
On H.R. 6009, the chair recognizes Representative Concanon for a motion to adopt the resolution.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Whereas the Kansas Chiropractic Association, the KCA, was formed in 1911 and is the oldest chiropractic association in the United States. And whereas in 1913, the KCA was instrumental in the creation of a Kansas law which licensed chiropractic practice in Kansas, the first law of its kind in the world. And whereas, as the first state in the nation to have a doctor obtain a chiropractic license, Kansas spearheaded the licensed chiropractic practice movement in the United States. And whereas KCA promotes the long, bountiful, and beautiful too, pioneering history of chiropractic practice in Kansas. And whereas KCA protects and preserves the art, science, and philosophy of the chiropractic practice in Kansas. And whereas KCA advocates on behalf of more than 1,000 chiropractic physicians by providing a unified voice in government relations, public policy, and a positive vision for the profession. And whereas KCA members provide leadership throughout healthcare by demanding the highest educational standards and adherence to the highest moral and ethical standards. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the state of Kansas that we recognize the groundbreaking and storied history of the Kansas Chiropractic Association, and be it further resolved that we applaud the essential and ongoing work that the Kansas Chiropractic Association accomplishes on behalf of chiropractic physicians in Kansas. And be it further resolved that the Chief Clerk of the House of Representatives shall send an enrolled copy of this resolution to Representative Concanon. So I'd like to welcome our guests who are here from Kansas Chiropractic Association in recognition of 100 years of their professional organization. We have Dr. Travis Aller, who's up in the balcony, Dr. Justin Folk, President, Dr. Brad Pyle, Vice President, Dr. Jessica Lovelace, Secretary Treasurer, Co-Legislative Chair, and my daughter. Dr. Brian Asbury, Legislative Chair, Dr. Katie Benson, Kansas City Metro District Director. And I'd like to also introduce, I have to say, the most important person up here, my grandson, Brooks. So thank you all and congratulations. Mr. Speaker, I move my resolution 6009 and ask that my words be spread across the journal.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, say nay. No. Motion carries. Without objection, so ordered. The chair recognizes the majority leader for a motion to resolve into the committee of the whole.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House resolve itself into the committee of the whole for the purpose of considering those items under the heading of general orders.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. The chair appoints Representative Delperdang to chair the committee of the whole.
All right, body. The first line of business is House Bill 2070. For the purpose of carrying House Bill 2070, the chair recognizes Representative Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This morning I rise before the body to present House Bill 2070. This bill comes to the floor from the House Corrections and Juvenile Justice Committee. There are no committee amendments. House Bill 2070 allows certain non-drug offenders to participate in a drug treatment program. While drug treatment programs under SB 123 have been focused on those who've been incarcerated for drug felonies, this change will allow for the addition of offenders who have committed felonies for property crimes and other low-level felonies. This bill would allow offenders convicted of non-personal severity loans, levels 7, 8, 9, and 10 felonies with a criminal history score between C and I to participate if the offender has no prior convictions for manufacturing a controlled substance, cultivating or distributing a controlled substance, or unlawful acts involving proceeds from drug crimes. During testimony, conferees conceded that individuals sentenced for property crimes are often committing these crimes to support their addictions to alcohol and/or drugs, and that the root cause of the crime is often found in those addictions and the need to financially support their addictions. The bill would allow the courts to identify and to acknowledge this correlation by permitting and ordering individuals convicted and incarcerated for these crimes to undergo treatment. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be happy to stand for questions.
Does any member desire to speak to the bill? Chair recognizes Representative Will Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will the representative stand for a few questions?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much. So reading through the bill here, I saw reference to gridlock. Can you explain gridlock to me?
You know what? Give me just a second to confer with my chairperson. Just a second.
Oh, I misread that. It's grid blocks. I'm so sorry.
Grid blocks is a different story.
Okay, very good.
So
So sorry.
we can talk about grid blocks. So these are the grid blocks that we're talking about with the offenders. So it's if you've not seen this, I just had to learn about this because not being juvenile, so it was a great opportunity to see what these are. So these are the grid blocks based upon their offense of how many months that they would be sentenced to, either probation or, in this sense, dealing with treatment facility.
Very good. Thank you. And who decides what gridlock you're in? Or grid block, I'm sorry.
Based on based on the criminal history that they've had.
Okay, very good. Is this your first bill?
It is.
Oh, very good. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Representative.
Thank you.
For further discussion, Chair recognizes Representative Heiberger.
Well, I think the representative did a fine job on his first carrying of a bill. I think this is a great expansion of our SB 123 program for expands a range of people who are eligible for drug treatment instead of incarceration. It's got the potential to benefit the people who go through the program, and in addition, saving taxpayer dollars. I think that by the use of the risk assessment tool identifies the people who could most benefit from it, and I would appreciate your support of this important legislation. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. Representative Butler, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that when the body rises to report, it reports House Bill 2070 favorably for passage.
You've heard the motion by Representative Butler to report HB 2070 favorably. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is House Bill 2069 for the purpose of carrying 2069. Chair recognizes Representative Schlingensieben.
Need to turn it on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please consider my light turned on. I come bearing this bill for the Committee on Corrections and Juvenile Justice, House Bill 2069. This bill would clarify how jail credit is awarded when a person is in custody awaiting disposition on a new criminal charge after being arrested for an alleged violation of post-release supervision conditions. little bit to the background. When a person is incarcerated awaiting trial, the time spent in jail is deducted from any sentence that is eventually imposed. When a person is serving a period of post-release supervision after serving a prison sentence, each day of release counts towards service of the supervision period. When a person, is jailed for a new offense while also serving a post-release supervision period for a previous offense, the question arises of whether the jail time should be credited toward the post-release supervision time or the possible future prison sentence. The Kansas Department of Corrections has historically interpreted the current statute as requiring the jail time to be credited first to the original post-release supervision period, then, when that is satisfied, to the possible future sentence. A few recent court decisions have imposed the opposite result. This bill would clarify the statute to ensure that it is applied as it historically has been by the KDOC. I'll stand for questions.
Does any member desire to speak to the bill? Chair recognizes Representative Eric Smith. You want to, okay. Chair, okay, we'll change it up. Chair recognizes Representative Heiberger.
Would the carrier stand for a couple of questions? Representative, this is a fairly complicated bill, isn't it? Would you say?
It took me a few days to figure out what the heck is in this language, yes.
And this is your first bill on the floor, carrying?
Yes, sir, it is.
So what did you do to get the chairman to assign this bill to you?
I'd rather not say.
Well, discretion is the greater part of valor. I'm looking at the bill description here, and it says that it's an act concerning crimes, punishment, and criminal procedure relating to post-release supervision, providing that such term does not toll except as provided by law. Is that accurate, do you think?
I think that's accurate.
Okay, well then, Representative, for whom does the statute toll?
The statute tolls for someone who runs off and doesn't serve the sentence. Whether that person, therefore that person, according to John Dunn, is not an island until, I suppose, incarcerated.
Well, that was supposed to be a joke, but that was the correct answer, I think. This is good legislation. I would encourage you to support it.
For further discussion, Chair recognizes Representative Eric Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Body, this is a good bill. The thing that it's going to do, the most important thing it's going to do is alleviate some of the confusion when it comes to when an individual is taken into custody and they're sitting in jail, whether that time goes toward the new crime that they've committed or toward the time that they were looking at and the old crime that they're being post-release supervision for. So it just codifies it and gives it consistency. So I'm going to vote in support of it, and I ask you to. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on the bill? Not seeing any. Representative, you may close.
So with that, Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt this bill favorably.
Body, you've heard the move or motion by Representative Schlangenstein to report HB 2069 favorably. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. Next item of business is House Bill 2042. For the purpose of carrying 2042, Chair recognizes Representative Laura Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There were committee amendments. I move the adoption of the committee report as amended.
You've heard the motion. All in favor by signifying, saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Committee report is adopted. Please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, body. I am here to present House Bill 2042 today from the Committee of Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development. House Bill 2042, as amended, would authorize self-storage unit operators to tow motor vehicles, watercraft, or trailers if an occupant is in default for abandonment or non-payment for rent for more than 45 days. Essentially, what this bill does is it allows self-storage unit operators to be able to move tow a motor vehicle, watercraft, or trailer after providing notice and after the 45-day. This bill would exempt operators from the liabilities if damages were to happen during the tow of the motor vehicle, trailers, or watercraft after the towing service takes possession, and if the towing service isn't certificate of the public service from the Kansas Corporation Commission. And this bill would provide for the operator's liens on the motor vehicle, trailer, or watercraft to be extinguished after the property is towed from the self-storage facility. Mr. Chair, I will stand for questions.
Does any member desire to speak to the bill? Chair recognizes Representative Humphries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Would the carrier of the bill stand for questions? So today is February 7th. It is a very special day today. Did you know it's Garth Brooks' birthday?
I had no idea.
Do you like country western music?
I have actually sat front row at Garth Brooks' concert.
Okay, great. Did you know it's National Fettuccine Alfredo Day?
I did not.
Do you like fettuccine Alfredo?
I do. It is my preference of pasta.
Okay, good. So far, so good. Did you know it's Ballet Day?
I did not.
Do you do ballet?
That is not something that you want to see me do.
Okay, and if you're into chemistry, it's also the National Periodic Table Day.
I actually was president of chemistry club at Shawnee Mission Northwest.
Yeah. Okay, it's also wave all of your fingers at your neighbor day. I'm sure you would never wave not all of your fingers at your neighbor, right?
I would prefer not to say.
Okay. It's also Rose Day. It's National Send a Card to Your Friend Day. It's not National Self-Storage Day, which really has to do with the bill. But the reason it's a special day today, obviously, body, is because it is the first day that this representative is carrying her bill. And so we welcome her gladly to the House and know that she's going to do a great job.
Thank you.
Yes.
For further discussion, Chair recognizes Representative Probst.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The previous carrier did a fine job explaining this. I could make a bunch of wreck or towing jokes, but I won't. But encourage your support of this bill.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 2042? Not seeing any. Representative, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that when the committee rises and reports, it reports House Bill 2042 favorably for passage.
Body, you've heard the motion by Representative Laura Williams to report House Bill 2042 favorably. For all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Nay for opposed. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. For For the next order of business, there we go. We will be hearing House Bill 2033 for the purpose of carrying 2033. Chair recognizes Representative Turk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today, we will be presenting House Bill 2033, comes to the floor from Corrections and Juvenile Justice Committee. What this bill does is changes the criteria used to refer and admit juveniles to a juvenile crisis intervention center. Section 6 amends KSA 65536, which is the statute that creates juvenile crisis intervention centers. Current law in this statute allows the juveniles who are experiencing mental health crisis and are likely to cause harm to themselves or others to be admitted to a juvenile crisis intervention center for short-term observation, assessment, treatment, and case planning. This section is amended to change the reference to mental health crisis to behavioral health crisis. This section later defines behavioral health crisis, which would mean behavioral, and conduct issues that impact the safety or health of a child, members of the child's household or family, or members of the community, including but not limited to non-life-threatening mental health and substance abuse concerns. The section is also amended to add substance abuse-related issues to the list of services that juveniles can service or receive services to address. Mr. Chair, I would stand for questions.
Does any member desire to speak to the bill? Chair recognizes Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the carry of the bill, please stand for questions. So you're a car guy here.
Yes.
And before anybody questions the germaneness, I would have to say cars, juveniles drive cars, therefore it's germane to the bill. So we're going to talk about cars. Do you name your vehicle, sir?
Yes.
What's the craziest name you've ever named a vehicle?
Does it have to currently be on the road?
No.
Is Vic Miller acceptable?
No names, sir. You cannot use names at the well.
Really? Okay.
Well,
He wasn't looking at me. I just wanted his attention.
That's all right.
Learning lessons the hard way.
He doesn't like to look at me either. Something about the lighting in the room, but. So I have another question. Since we're on the subject of crisis that we deem juvenile, I find it a crisis on the floor today that seems rather juvenile, that you would take it upon yourself to equalize the number of Smiths and Adams in the House chamber. Because now, whenever I hear my name called, there's two other people that are going to turn and wonder who's talking. Are you aware of the potential neck injuries of constantly doing this?
I am now.
Very good. Well, I'm glad you see the error of your ways. So, and with that, this is a good bill, and welcome to the legislature, my friend.
Thank you.
For further discussion, Chair recognizes Representative Heiberger.
The carrier did a fine job of explaining the bill. I think it adds some flexibility to what can be done with the monies in the fund that we've accumulated from not keeping juveniles in detention as much as we used to. It's a good bill. I would encourage your support.
Is there any further discussion on the bill? Not seeing the representative, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that when the committee rises and reports, it report House Bill 2033 favorable for passage. I close.
Body, you've heard the motion by Representative Turk to report House Bill 2033 favorably. For all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Bill passes. Mr. Chair, this concludes our general orders. I move that we rise and report. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Okay. That's a new one. Mr. Chair, I move that we rise and report.
You've heard the motion to rise and report. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes.
The clerk will read the committee report.
Mr. Speaker, your committee of the whole recommends House Bills 2070, 2069, and 2033 be passed. House Bill 2042 be passed as amended.
Speaker recognizes Representative Delperdang. Move adoption of the committee report.
Mr. Chair, I move adoption of the committee of the whole report.
You have heard the motion to adopt the committee report. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report is adopted. Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Committee on Transportation recommends House Bill 2014 be passed. Committee on Transportation recommends House Bill 2020 be passed. Committee on Transportation recommends House Bill 2019 be passed. Committee on Health and Human Services recommends House Bill 2263 be amended and the bill be passed as amended. Committee on Health and Human Services recommends House Bill 2262 be passed. Committee on Health and Human Services recommends House Bill 2260 be passed. Committee on Corrections and Juvenile Justice recommends House Bill 2114 be passed. Committee on Child Welfare and Foster Care recommends House Bill 2194 be passed. Committee on Education recommends House Bill 2139 be passed. Committee on Child Welfare and Foster Care recommends House Bill 2034 be passed. Committee on Federal and State Affairs recommends House Bill 2124 be passed.
Is there any objection to returning to that order of business, introduction of bills and concurrent resolutions? Seeing no objection, the clerk will read.
House Bill number 2328 by the Committee on Corrections and Juvenile Justice, an act concerning crimes, punishment, and criminal procedure relating to controlled substances definitions, excluding materials used to detect the presence of fentanyl, ketamine, gamma acid, and from the definition of drug paraphernalia. House Bill number 2329 by the Committee on Corrections and Juvenile Justice, an act concerning crimes, punishment, and criminal procedure relating to sentencing for drug crimes, modifying the special sentencing rule for possessing a firearm during the commission of a crime. House Bill number 2330 by the Committee on Social Services Budget, an act concerning health and health care relating to local health departments, increasing state financial assistance to such departments under specified circumstances. House Bill number 2331 by the Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources, an act concerning wildlife and parks relating to state parks, designating Lehigh Portland State Park. House Bill number 2332 by the Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources, an act concerning the Division of Tourism relating to the transfer of powers, duties, functions from the Department of Wildlife and Parks to the Department of Commerce, making changes in references and transfers to state officers with respect thereto. House Bill number 2333 by the Committee on Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development, an act concerning employment security law relating to work search requirements, establishing procedures for disqualification from benefits for claimants who fail to attend a job interview without providing notice to the prospective employer, or who fail to respond to an offer of employment within 5 days, expanding options for prospective employers to report such occurrences relating to the Unemployment Compensation Modernization and Improvement Council. House Bill number 2334 by the Committee on Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development, and Act concerning economic development relating to the Attracting Powerful Economic Expansion Act, extending the deadlines for project agreements under the Act, enhancing incentives for qualified suppliers by providing for up to 10% of refundable tax credits for up to 10 years, and increasing the training reimbursement up to $500,000 per year for 5 years. House Bill number 2335 by the Committee on Transportation, an act concerning transportation relating to the Rail Service Improvement Program, authorizing loans or grants for qualified track maintenance, providing a definition for qualified track maintenance, increasing the transfer amount from the State Highway Fund to the Rail Service Improvement Fund. House Bill number 2336 by the Committee on Transportation, an act concerning the Surplus Property and Public Airport Authority Act relating to bonding authority, providing for increased bonding authority up to $10 million. House Bill number 2337 by the Committee on Health and Human Services, an act concerning health and health care relating to telemedicine, defining in-state and interstate practitioners under the Kansas Telemedicine Act, requiring certain insurance coverage for in-state telemedicine services, providing for certain standards of care. House Bill number 2338 by the Committee on Health and Human Services, an act concerning health and health care relating to sickle cell disease, designating Sickle Cell Awareness Week, requiring the Department of Health and Environment to study and report on topics related to sickle cell disease. House Bill number 2339 by Representative Owsley, an act concerning firearms relating to the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, enacting the Kansas Voluntary Do Not Sell Firearms List Act, providing penalties for violation of such act. House Bill number 2340 by the Committee on Health and Human Services, an act concerning behavioral sciences, increasing the membership of Behavioral Sciences Regulatory Board relating to licensure and regulation, professional counselors, social workers, marriage and family therapists, addiction counselors, behavioral analysts, psychologists, and master's level psychologists, decreasing the years of practice required for reciprocity licensure, requiring that clinical social work supervisors be approved by the board, providing additional continuing education requirements, and establishing license categories for applicants from social work programs in candidacy for accreditation and for temporary reinstatement. House Bill number 2341 by Representative Hobson, Alcala, and others, an act concerning legal holidays, declaring Juneteenth National Independence Day to be a legal public holiday, relating to the closure of state offices for the observance of certain legal public holidays. House Bill number 2342 by the Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources, an act concerning agriculture, relating to the Kansas Pet Animal Act, establishing the Pet Animal Board of Veterinarians within the Kansas Department of Agriculture, transferring all Kansas Pet Animal Act powers, duties, and functions of the Animal Health Commissioner to the Pet Animal Board of Veterinarians, limiting procedures for seizing animals, eliminating provisions involving no contact inspections, requiring a license for animal rescues, and authorizing a single license fee for all license categories. House Bill number 2343 by the Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources Budget, an act concerning legal publications, authorizing the use of internet websites for publication of legal notices. House Bill number 2344 by the Committee on Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development, an act concerning economic development relating to tourism, expanding the membership of the Council on Travel and Tourism, and updating the House committee assignment required for House members, modifying the Department of Commerce's match grant program for the promotion of tourism by reducing the required allocation of funds to public and nonprofit entities, and removing the restriction on the percentage of funds granted to a single entity. House Bill number 2345 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning the Supported Decision-Making Agreements Act relating to decision-making assistance for adults. House Bill number 2346 by the Committee on Transportation, an act concerning motor vehicles relating to distinctive license plates, providing for the back the blue license plate.
Colleagues, we are waiting on a committee report, so we'll stand at ease. Reports of standing committees, the clerk will read.
Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources recommends Senate Concurrent Resolution 1602 be adopted.
Are there announcements? Representative, the chair recognizes Representative Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two announcements to make. And so right after session today, 12 o'clock until 1 o'clock, we have our Congressional Prayer Caucus. It's going to be in room 287 North. Might be a little difficult. Most of us haven't gone to that room before, but it's 287 North. We're going to have a guest speaker, Congressman Randy Forbes. He's used to be a congressman for the state of Virginia for 14 years, I think it was. So that should be interesting to listen to him. Then tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, Wednesday, in room 142 South, we will be continuing our study of the book of Nehemiah. And again, we'll bring some coffee, 7 a.m., room 142. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chair recognizes Representative Orpeza.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Wyandotte County delegation is meeting today for lunch, and it's the Hospital Association that will be sponsoring in room 152 South right after session. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you have no plans for lunch, that's your own fault. We have three great opportunities. The Rural Caucus will meet at 159 South. We're going to talk rural housing. Kansas Farm Bureau is over at the Beacon, and the Kansas Association of Conservation Districts is on the first floor north. 2 out of the 3 I know are hot meals, so thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none, the chair recognizes the majority leader for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move the House adjourn until Wednesday. First calendar, Republicans calendar at 8:30. Now I go, Mr. Speaker, I move the House adjourn until Wednesday, February 8th at 11 a.m.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. We are adjourned.